Compared to most African countries and some Western countries, the United Arab Emirates is the future. I mean, futuristic city, global business hub, and very big ambition, like very big ambition. Can a country built on oil be sustainable? And that is what we are going to explore in this video. So the UAE sits in the Middle East, right at the crossroad of trade in Asia, Europe, and Africa. And somehow, in the middle of a desert, it has built one of the most dynamic economies on the planet. I mean, cities like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, feels like they were rendered before they were built. Everything looks fast, intentional, expensive, future-facing. But under all that glass, steel, and soft life, there's a very different foundation carrying the whole thing. The UAE runs on three major systems. First, oil and gas. That's the foundation of its wealth. And let's be honest, they know that game very well. Too well, actually. But that's going to be on another video. Second is global trade and aviation. The UAE is basically one giant connector, a logistic plug for the world. And honestly, you could even say that that's just an old trading legacy, you know, but it's in a luxury upgrade, that kind of thing. And then third is tourism and real estate. And this is where the economies start to look like a lifestyle brand. And somehow, this their side hustle became a whole new power move. And together, this system turned a desert into a global powerhouse. And that is impressive. But let's not act like it came free, because it's not free, actually. The UAE operates in one of the most resource-constrained environments on earth. Desert climate, very limited fresh water, and extreme heat. And so for a country like this to function at such a high level, it depends heavily on things like desalination, energy-hungry cooling system, and imported food. And so this is not a naturally abundant system, not at all. It is a highly engineered one. I mean, heavily engineered, if you ask me. The UAE also has one of the highest energy consumption rates per person in the world, and that's where the tension kicks in. Even though it is building one of the most advanced future on earth, using some of the most resource-intensive systems to do it. And honestly, that only works because the UAE has one serious superpower, and that is strategy. No luck, no vibe, just strategy. The UAE is investing heavily in renewable energy, and it is also expanding its oil capacity. And on paper, that looks really smart. I mean, diversification, revenue security, global influence, and a hedge on both sides. Very cool. But a question still lingers. Is this a transition strategy or just two dependency coexisting with very good PR? Because the future economy is not going to reward extraction alone. It is going to reward system design. I mean, who can reduce demand, who can close loop, who can build wealth without burning through everything. And that is where this is all going. And really, that is where the real opportunities start showing up for UAE. And so, when we analyze the UAE with the C framework that I designed, we'd see that they scored 4 out of 10 under sufficiency, because their systems still depend heavily on scale, demand, convenience, and very high consumption. They're efficient, yes, but they consume like crazy. 7 out of 10 under effectiveness, because they are making very serious moves in renewable investment, sustainability initiative, and urban innovation. And so they are not clueless, not even close. They are very, very intentional about their growth. And they score 8 out of 10 under efficiency, because let's be real, the UAE knows how to run optimized system. That's their kind of thing, you know. And so in summary, the UAE is effective, very efficient, and very low on sufficiency, because they are still resource intensive, and that is what makes the UAE very interesting. So if the UAE embraced a fully sea-based system. It could completely redefine what a desert economy look like, and not just surviving deserts, but engineer around it and build a whole new model from it that becomes an example for other resource constrained countries around the globe. And to be fair, in recent years, the UAE has clearly started taking sustainability more seriously, and they are no longer treating it like a side quest. It has started to build sustainability into the system that shapes the country itself: energy, water, industry, transport, waste, and even nature. Clean energy is growing, industry is being pushed towards lower emission, water security is becoming central, circular system are gaining more advantage, and biodiversity is now entering the conversation in an amazing way. And so they start to build policy and infrastructure and long-term direction about their sustainability initiative. And so in simple terms, they're trying to make sustainability part of how the country grows, compete, and prepare for what's next. And if the UAE gets that part right, it will not just survive future, it will design it. And look it, that's the biggest flex for the UAE. And speaking of design, that's one of the biggest opportunities that stands out for the UAE. And we're going to look at them very quickly. First, we're looking at cooling as a national system. Because the UAE, the real pressure is in their energy. I mean, it's heat intensive and they need cooling. I mean, massive scale cooling. And air conditioning alone drive insane electricity demand in UAE. So the opportunity here is bigger than just generating more power. It's about treating cooling like an actual national system. Imagine district cooling that is linked with thermal storage, smarter demand management during peak heat, and buildings that are designed to block it even before they enter. And so the real win is not just making more energy, it's reducing the need for energy in the first place. And that's smarter, that's cleaner, and that's more future proof. Another opportunity that stand up for them is building as a material bank. The UAE builds fast, like really fast. I mean, as of late, modern technique in their building technology using 200 robots built 15 floors in just 12 days. But the real question is what happens when those buildings age and get replaced? Because right now, too much value disappear into demolition and waste. But imagine if every building becomes a material bank. Steel, glass, concrete system, they're tracked, they're recovered, and they are reused. That means a construction economy where material do not just vanish after one life cycle. They stay in motion. And in a place that building at this scale, at this speed is rampant, that shift become huge. Another opportunity that stand up for them is water as a closed loop. Right now, water is mostly produced, used, and then lost. But in a desert economy like UAE, that model has an expiry date. The smarter move is a closed loop water system. You should see done to understand how this works. Wastewater is fully recovered, industrial water reused across sector, and real-time leakage detection across city. And so in the UAE, water is just no longer supplied, but it is cycled again and again. And that changes everything for them. Imagine designing with the desert in the UAE and not just again it. Because a lot of urban development in the UAE has been designed to resist the desert. I mean, fight the heat, block the conditions, and outbuild the environment. But the next evolution for the UAE is different. It is designing the desert. I'm not just against it. That means passive cooling and architecture, shared urban layout, material that reflect it and release it better. And that even gives them more comfort. I mean, less energy input, better thermal performance, but the bigger opportunity might actually be industrial because desert condition can support more than food production alone. It could actually build them a whole new bioeconomy through controlled environmental agriculture, algae and saline crops, food waste turned into industrial inputs. And they are not just growing food, they're growing new material, they're building new industry and new forms of value. That's where everything gets really interesting. Another opportunity for them is blue carbon as an infrastructure. The UAE coastline holds real opportunity. I mean, they're beginning to improve their mangrove and marine ecosystem, and that can help them with carbon storage, coastline protection, and biodiversity support. And once they are measured properly, financed properly, and integrated, they stop becoming a background nature. They become part of the economic system itself. And that's where ecology stop looking like a side concern and start looking like a strategy. And what the UAE proves so clearly is that even resource constrained system can build extraordinary economy. And that part is already obvious. And so the real question now is, what kind of future will the UAE build? Because the economy that dominate the future are not those that build sustainable economies. They are those that design system around reducing the need for resources in the first place. And that's the difference between adaptation and actual system redesign.